Welcome back to the deep dive, where we take your information overload problem. And wow, in this case, it was an absolutely towering stack of resources on the whole hungry girl philosophy of eating. And we turned it into pure strategic intelligence.
It was a lot.
I mean, you sent us enough low-calorie recipes, product swaps, and these super specific rules to fill a library. The sheer volume, it really says something.
It really does. And that volume, I think, it perfectly illustrates the central mission we're tackling today. This isn't just about, reviewing a cookbook. It's about extracting the fundamental, repeatable strategies from Lisa Lillien's very, very specific philosophy. The sauces are basically giving us a blueprint for what we can call strategic ingredient engineering.
Ooh, I like that. Strategic ingredient engineering.
Right. The mission really is mastering guilt-free eating. It's learning how to navigate the high-calorie landscapes of everyday life.
Like fast food.
Fast food, a rich dessert, a Friday night cocktail, whatever it is, and doing it by consistently applying these smart, low-fat, high-fiber swaps.
Exactly. So our core promise here is to give you the operational manual. We're going, beneath the surface of the specific recipes. We're going past the turkey taco meatloaf and the berry custard crostata to understand the core psychological and nutritional tricks. What are the laws of physics, so to speak, that let you create these huge, high-volume meals that don't, as the sources say over and over, pack on the pounds?
And that's where it gets really interesting.
It really is. Okay, so before we get into the nuts and bolts of the recipes, we have to talk about the voice behind this whole movement.
Lisa Lillien.
Yes, the founder of Hungry Girl. The source material is very, very clear about her qualifications, or maybe her lack of them. And I think that sets the stage for the whole approach.
It does. It's crucial context. She openly and, enthusiastically identifies herself as being just hungry and a nut.
Right.
She's completely obsessed with finding low-fat, great-tasting food. And it's so important to understand that she is not a nutritionist, she's not a dietitian or a doctor.
Which kind of frees her up in a way.
It totally frees her from, traditional nutritional dogma. Instead, the foundation of all this material is intensely practical. The book makes it clear. It says the recipes are the result of extensive research done by me and my super dedicated and talented staff.
So it's not theoretical. It's all based on trial and error.
Exactly. It's empirical. It's what works in a real kitchen when you want a huge portion that actually tastes good. And that whole pursuit leads directly to the core definition of what even is guilt-free.
Okay, yeah. So in this universe, what is the formula? What does a recipe need to do to earn that guilt-free label?
It's a very specific, multi-layered formula, and if you miss any one of these layers, the whole strategy kind of falls apart.
Okay.
So first, it has to be delicious. Flavor is non-negotiable, because if you don't like it, you won't stick with it.
Makes sense.
Second, it has to be low in fat and calories. That's the measurable part. But the third element, this is the strategic linchpin. The recipes have to aim for high fiber counts.
Fiber. They really, really emphasize fiber in these sources. It feels like the secret weapon.
It absolutely is the secret weapon. And the reason they give is so simple, but it's profound. They say they love fiber because it's good for you and it fills you up.
Right.
And if you dig into the science behind that, fiber is the key to volume eating without the calorie consequence. It's mostly indigestible, so it has very few calories, but it takes up a ton of space.
So it physically fills your stomach.
It physically fills your stomach, and even more importantly, high-fiber foods slow down what's called gastric emptying, basically, how fast food leaves your stomach, so you feel fuller for much, much longer.
So it's a double whammy. You're satisfying your eyes with a big portion and your stomach with something that sticks around.
That's the core trick. You trick your brain into feeling satisfied even though the calorie count is low.
I love it. It's psychological warfare on hunger. Okay, so if we're going to be an ingredient engineer running these kinds of precise calculations, we're going to need a specific toolbox.
Yes, and the source dedicates a surprising amount of text to the essential kitchen gear you need to pull this off with any kind of precision.
And that obsession with accuracy makes sense, right? If you're shaving off, say, 50 or 100 calories with a swap, one little measurement error could wipe that all out.
Completely. So the essentials. You need a basic digital food scale, one that can measure in both grams and ounces. You have to weigh things like lean meats, cheese, some baked goods. You just have to. You can't eyeball it.
And I was really struck by how specific they were about measuring spoons. The rule is, and I'm quoting, never use regular serving spoons to measure ingredients for recipes. Why so strict on that?
Because a regular spoon from your drawer can be, totally different in size, shape, and depth. A teaspoon of olive oil on a soup spoon might actually be closer to 2 real
Wow,
teaspoons.
so you just double the fat and calories without even realizing it.
Instantly. It's what we call calorie creep, these tiny little unacknowledged errors that just derail you over time. Precision tools stop that.
And the other non-negotiable tool, it's everywhere in the recipes, non-stick cooking spray.
It's the invisible foundation of this whole system. The author says, never let your kitchen run out of this stuff.
It's a command.
It really is. Nonstick spray is the critical low-calorie replacement for butter, olive oil, vegetable oil, and pretty much every cooking process. Scrambling eggs, pan-frying turkey bacon, coating a baking dish.
What's the calorie difference we're talking about?
It's huge. A tablespoon of olive oil is around 120 calories and 14 grams of fat. A quick spritz of nonstick spray is essentially 0 calories. That one swap, if you do it every day, is one of the biggest wins in this whole philosophy.
That focus on specific brands is also a huge piece of this, right? The nutritional math for these recipes seems to depend entirely on you picking the right product off the shelf. You can't just grab a generic version.
No, you absolutely can't. And this is where the strategy moves from general health advice to hyper-specific ingredient vetting. The integrity of that guilt-free formula hangs completely on these brand swaps, especially in what they call the dairy substitute dilemma.
Okay, let's break that down. What's so vital about these specific dairy substitutes?
Okay, take the recommendation for Silk Light soy milk or Almond Breeze unsweetened. The book says it's so good and much lower in calories.
Right.
Let's look at the impact. Normal 2% milk is about 120, maybe 130 calories and 4 or 5 grams of fat per cup. Silk Light soy milk is more like 80 calories and almost no fat.
So if you have a couple cups a day in coffee or cereal,
That seemingly small choice shaves off 80 to 100 calories and 8 to 10 grams of fat. Every single day. Over a week, that's 500 to 700 calories you just saved by swapping your milk.
that is impressive. And cheese is notoriously a diet killer, but they found some very specific workarounds.
They meticulously vet the cheese aisle. For most recipes, they specify fat-free options like Kraft fat-free or lifetime fat-free cheese. For slices, they lean on reduced fat options like Sargento reduced fat deli style.
So the advice isn't just choose low fat.
No, it's to verify that the specific brand has cut the fat without spiking the sugar or sodium to compensate, which happens a lot. You have to be a label reader.
Then we get this fascinating little compromise, the ice cream exception. It's like they allow one small deviation for the sake of sanity.
It's a moment of necessary realism.
Yeah.
The source explicitly singles out Dreyer's or Edie's slow-churned light ice cream. They're very clear. It is not completely fat-free.
But
But they immediately follow up by saying it's awesome and will barely affect recipe nutritional information. This shows that flavor and satisfaction are prioritized over absolute zero fat purity, but only if the caloric hit is minimal enough to keep the final dish guilt-free.
it prevents burnout.
Exactly. It prevents that feeling of deprivation that makes most diets fail.
And speaking of minimizing fat, let's talk protein. They are very, very clear about which meats you should be buying.
Yeah, the focus is lean, lean, lean. You're always aiming for the highest possible protein to fat ratio. They insist on extra lean ground turkey breast, and they name brands like Jennie-O and Butterball.
And for other proteins.
Boneless, skinless, lean chicken breast, of course. And fat-free, or nearly fat-free hot dogs. They specifically cite Hebrew National 97% fat-free beef franks. The logic is simple. Start with the absolute leanest protein base you can find.
Because you can always add flavor, but you can't subtract fat.
You got it. You can add herbs, spices, local hot sauces, but you can never take away the fat that's already marbled into a piece of meat. That discipline at the grocery store is the entire foundation.
Okay, so since that accuracy is so key, let's see how that ingredient discipline plays out when we tackle the most dangerous meal of the day. Breakfast.
Ah, yes, the Rise and Dine chapter. It really highlights the challenge of, not having enough time or energy in the morning.
And that pressure just creates two terrible options.
Yeah.
You either skip breakfast entirely, which sets you up for a binge later, or you hit the drive-thru.
And the drive-thru is a caloric minefield. The sources give these horrifying examples of how breakfast can just wreck your entire day before 9 a.m.
What's the worst offender?
The McDonald's Deluxe breakfast, with the syrup and margarine. It clocks in at a shocking 1,330 calories and 64 grams of fat.
That's more than a full day's worth of calories for a lot of people. in one meal.
And you've still got lunch and dinner to go. Even something like the Hardee's loaded breakfast burrito is a monster at 780 calories and 51 grams of fat. So the whole strategy here is to fight that time crunch and give you instant satisfaction with high-volume, local options.
And the most direct way to get that volume is the cereal bowl answer.
This is where they directly attack the psychological problem of portion sizes. The author calls the typical recommended serving size on a cereal box like a half cup or 3/4 of a cup laughable.
Which is true. Nobody eats that little.
Nobody. You pour a bowl, you're easily pouring 2 or 3 times that much, and so you're eating 2 or 3 times the calories you think you are.
So what's the psychological fix? The ginormous cereal bowl answer. Walk me through the strategy there.
It's a brilliant illusion. The recipe combines 1 cup of puffed wheat, 1 cup of puffed rice, a half cup of puffed corn cereal, and then a 1/4 cup of Fiber One brand cereal.
Ah, so the pup cereals are just air.
Basically. They take up a massive amount of physical space with minimal calories. And then the Fiber One provides that necessary fiber hit for satiety. You top that whole massive 3-cup bowl with some light vanilla soy milk and blueberries.
So you get this huge, satisfying bowl of cereal for only 286 calories and 3 grams of fat, but with 10 grams of fiber.
Exactly. Your eyes see a giant portion, your stomach feels full,
Yeah.
but the nutritional damage is totally controlled.
And they apply that same volume strategy to savory options, right? Like the bring out the breakfast pizza.
Oh, yeah, only 127 calories and half a gram of fat. The success is all in the carefully crafted egg crust base.
So instead of a dough,
Instead of oil, flour, and yeast, the crust is made just from a fat-free liquid egg substitute. It creates the savory, protein-packed base that holds together perfectly, and you can load it up with veggies and lean turkey bacon without the carb penalty. It's chemistry, not baking.
and for a sweet tooth, there's the cinnamon-licious French toast. 3 slices for under 200 calories. What I thought was fascinating was the psychological trick they suggest to make it feel even more filling.
It all goes back to presentation. The instruction is to cut the French toast into sticks before you dip and cook it.
Why?
They explain that it makes it feel like you're eating more that way too. It's a sensory thing. You're handling more individual pieces, dipping them, chewing more often. It's a perfect example of how the philosophy mixes culinary hacks with, sensory manipulation to create that guilt-free feeling.
That is so specific.
Okay.
Let's move on to lunch. The chopped till ya drop section is all about salads, but not just any salads.
Yeah.
Chopped salads.
Right, and the author asks, why a whole chapter on chopped salads? And the answer is twofold. 1, they're so much more fun and exciting.
Okay.
And 2, and this is the key part, they're way easier to eat because you don't have those unwieldy lettuce pieces. When everything's chopped and mixed, every single bite has the perfect blend of flavor and texture.
It's a more satisfying experience.
A much higher level of sensory satisfaction, which makes a low-calorie meal feel more substantial.
But the danger, especially in a restaurant, is loading up a healthy salad with hidden calorie bombs. The sources list the top 8 salad disasters, and some of the numbers are pretty shocking.
They are, because these calories are often invisible. Let's look at the averages they cite. Just 1 serving of a creamy dressing can easily be 150 calories and 15 grams of fat.
And nobody uses just 1 serving.
Never. A single tortilla shell for a taco salad.
Yeah.
300 calories, 20 grams of fat. And then you have the little things, candied nuts, croutons, crispy noodles that can add 100 calories for just a tiny sprinkle.
And the biggest disaster.
The mayo-laden items. Chicken salad, tuna salad. They average 150 calories and 10 grams of fat for 1 small scoop. You can turn a 100-calorie bowl of lettuce into a 700-calorie grease trap without even thinking about it.
So how do we fight that? I saw some really creative flavor strategies, like in the sliced and diced fajita steak salad. It's only 253 calories. But I have to ask about the prep method for the steak in that recipe. It sounds wild.
It is unusual, but it's pure fat-free ingredient engineering. The recipe specifies that you marinate the raw steak strips by soaking them in 4 ounces of Diet Coke for 30 minutes.
That Coke, seriously?
Seriously. The cola marinade is then cooked with the steak and the veggies. It's used purely for flavor and to tenderize the meat. It's a 0-calorie, 0-fat liquid delivery system for savory flavor.
Does it taste weird? Is this one of those swaps where you're sacrificing real culinary enjoyment for the sake of a number?
That's the tightrope the whole philosophy walks, isn't it? The belief here is that the flavor sacrifice is minimal, especially when you combine it with powerful things like fajita seasoning and lime juice. The goal isn't a Michelin star meal.
Right.
It's to create a genuinely enjoyable, satisfying dish that hits the right flavor notes without the crazy calorie cost. The acid and carbonation in the soda probably act as a great tenderizer, mimicking what a richer, oil-based marinade would do.
Okay, fair enough. And what's the most crucial universal piece of advice for controlling the fat on a salad?
It's twofold and non-negotiable. First, swap the fatty, creamy dressings for things like salsa, soy sauce, balsamic vinegar, or Dijon mustard. Huge flavor, no fat. And second, this is the golden rule, always dip, never pour dressing directly on your salad.
By dipping your fork.
You use a fraction of the amount, saving a ton of calories, but you still get that flavor hit in every bite.
Let's move to the super duper section. This is interesting because soup isn't just a meal here. It's a strategic tool for appetite control.
Absolutely. The research they cite is really compelling. People who regularly eat broth-based soups actually take in fewer total calories throughout the day.
Why is that?
It's volume physics. Soup gives you massive volume and satiety with a very low caloric density. You drink a big bowl of hot liquid, it fills your stomach, triggers the stretch receptors, and signals fullness to your brain almost instantly.
As long as you pick the right kind of soup.
That is the critical distinction. You have to know the terminology. On a menu, you need to be aware of 3 words. First is bisque. That means a thick cream soup. Nightmare.
Okay.
Second is chowder. That means it's rich, packed with potatoes, cream, fatty stuff. Third is anything labeled cream of potato, cream of tomato. That dairy base adds about 160 calories and 10 grams of fat per cup.
So what are the good, safe bets?
You stick strictly to bouillon, which is just broth-based soups, and consommé, which is a clear, low-fat soup. The difference is it's huge. A small cup of restaurant lobster bisque can be 350 calories and 30 grams of fat.
And the alternative?
The perfect plum tomato cabbage soup recipe from the book is 35 calories and half a gram of fat per cup.
Wow. And the recipes often use surprising ingredients to maximize flavor and volume, like the sassy salsa pumpkin soup.
That soup is a perfect example of engineering for satiety. It's only 177 calories, but it works because of the ingredients. It uses pure pumpkin.
Not pumpkin pie filling.
No, pure pumpkin puree. It acts as a natural thickener, adds body and fiber with almost no fat. Then you add black beans, corn, and salsa for substance. It's incredibly filling.
And the practical tip that goes with this section is great for anyone who's busy.
It's the ultimate guilt-free snack strategy. Make a big batch of soup and then freeze the leftovers in individual servings. They become perfect, microwavable, super filling snacks you can grab the second you feel hungry. It stops you from reaching for chips or cookies.
Okay, this next section is what everyone's been waiting for. The Holy Grail. Engineered indulgence. Conquering cravings for junk food, chocolate, and cocktails.
This is where the magic happens. The source points out that Americans spend over $120 billion a year on fast food. We clearly prioritize taste and convenience. So the mission here is to get that eureka feeling of turning those high-to-see-child dishes into healthy ones that give you the same satisfaction.
And the strategy is all about mimicking texture and flavor, but just getting rid of the oil. We see that right away with the French fry comparison.
Yes, this is essential to understanding the problem with deep-fried food. A regular 6-ounce serving of fast food fries is about 500 calories and 25 grams of fat.
Okay, but what about the potato itself?
The potato itself is only about 130 calories with almost no fat. So the deep frying process adds over 350 calories and 25 grams of fat from pure oil. You're just soaking a carb in fat.
So the swap has to eliminate the oil, enter the big-tastic butternut squash fries.
Precisely. You bake the squash, which is packed with vitamins and fiber, and you get a delicious fry for only 125 calories and half a gram of fat. The texture, when you bake it right, mimics that crisp on the outside, tender on the inside fry experience, but you cut out the entire oil penalty.
It's one of the most effective swaps in the book. They even have a junk food face-off segment comparing fast food enemies.
Right. Using a boxing analogy to help you pick the lesser of two evils, they compare onion rings to French fries.
Who wins? Or I guess who loses worse?
Onion rings are the undisputed loser. Ounce for ounce, they have about 20% more calories and almost 35% more fat than fries. That batter coating and the frying process just make them absolute diet killers.
And for a burger craving, it's a classic substitution strategy. The Big Bopper Burger Stopper is only 202 calories.
And that tiny calorie count stands in stark contrast to the drive-thru disasters. The poster child is the Hardee's Monster Thick Burger.
Uh,
It's an incredible 1,410 calories and 107 grams of fat.
that one burger is the equivalent of almost 7 of the burger stoppers.
Exactly. And even something that seems smaller, like a fast food fried fish sandwich, is still around 500 calories and 23 grams of fat, mostly from the breading and tartar sauce.
Okay, let's move to dessert. The greatest weakness for so many people, the source says that 50% of all food cravings are for chocolate.
Right. And this is where willpower often just breaks down, leading to these huge caloric mistakes that take hours of work to undo.
They quantify that perfectly with their Would You Rather segment. It makes the cost of indulgence so visceral.
It really does. If you eat a half pint of cookie dough ice cream, 540 calories,
Yeah?
you'd need to vacuum your house for 2 hours straight or hand wash dishes for over 3 hours just to burn it off.
That really puts it in perspective. But the philosophy isn't anti-chocolate. It's about smart chocolate choices.
No, not at all. They actually list the health benefits of chocolate to rationalize eating it in a controlled way. They focus on dark chocolate, praising it for antioxidants, flavonols that help blood flow, and the fact that it releases endorphins and serotonin.
It's chemically linked to happiness. You can't just eliminate it.
So you need genius low-cal swaps, like the one inspired by that famous Serendipity 3 restaurant in New York.
The freakishly good frozen hot chocolate.
Yes. It's this incredibly decadent-tasting drink for only 58 calories and half a gram of fat. The genius is using a diet-hot cocoa mix packet, light vanilla soy milk, and sugar-free syrups, all blended with ice. It creates that creamy, thick texture that fools your brain into thinking it's a full-fat milkshake.
And beyond chocolate, for fish cravings, they emphasize fiber again.
The Fruity 411 section has amazing data. Dates, surprisingly, have 14 grams of fiber per cup, a huge amount. And even avocado, which is technically a fruit, has 10 grams per cup.
And for a more composed fruit dessert, there's the layered berry custard crostata.
That crostata is the perfect example of using low-fat, pre-packaged ingredients to create something that looks and tastes sophisticated. It's only 124 calories. It works because it uses phyllo dough, which is naturally low-cal and bakes up super flaky.
And the filling.
It's a mix of berries and then a custard made from sugar-free vanilla pudding snack mixed with Cool Whip free. Those two things give you all the creaminess and sweetness you need without the fat of, heavy cream or butter. They said people at their headquarters were laughing uncontrollably. It was so good.
I love that. Okay, finally, the last indulgence zone. Happy hour. The core rule here is simple but vital.
Avoid drinking your calories. It's simple because liquid calories just slip by without making you feel full. Chewing food is inherently more satisfying. 500 calories in a drink feels like nothing. 500 calories in a burger feels like a real meal.
And the calories in traditional bar drinks are just astronomical.
The top 8 shockingly high-cal alcoholic drinks list is a rogues gallery. A single pina colada can be 650 calories. A frozen margarita averages 740.
Wow.
And a Long Island iced tea can be 780 calories because of all the spirits and the sugary mixer.
So the fix is just using low-calorie mixers.
That's the entire strategy. They have recipes like the magical low-cal margarita, which is only 115 calories. You just mix diet soda, a sugar-free powdered drink mix, lime juice, and tequila. The spirit gets mixed with a non-caloric delivery system. That's it.
And when you're ordering drinks out, there's one common ingredient that trips a lot of people up.
Yes, the critical distinction. Tonic water is not calorie-free. Standard tonic water has a lot of sugar, sometimes as much as regular soda. If you order a gin and tonic, you have to specifically ask for diet tonic, or even better, seltzer water.
The ultimate test of this whole philosophy is applying it in the real world, away from your perfectly stocked kitchen. Let's start with the office.
Ah, yes, office survival. The source says you spend about 40 waking hours a week faced with tempting diet-busting foods. That's the break room, the vending machine, the catered meeting.
And it requires militant planning.
Absolutely. The strategies are all about prevention. They say you should avoid the kitchen, keep your own utensils at your desk to reduce your exposure to temptation, don't snack from the vending machine. Even things that look healthy, like trail mix, are often calorie bombs.
So you have to arm yourself with approved snacks.
You need protein and fiber ready to go. This leads to the bite IT versus beat IT strategy for the break room. You bite IT for things like fresh fruit, fat-free yogurt, or a pouch of tuna.
And what do you beat IT from? What do you run away from?
You run from the disasters.
Yeah?
Cakes, cookies, donuts, and muffins. They're just high sugar, high fat bombs. They specifically call out the Costco chocolate muffin, which is 690 calories and 38 grams of fat.
One muffin is the same as a Big Mac. That's insane.
And there's even a tactical plan for the dreaded workday birthday, that office cake situation.
This is pure social engineering.
It is. The strategy is social appeasement. You take a piece of cake so you don't get hassled and berated, then you just fiddle with it, eat a bite or two, maybe scrape off the frosting, and then you slip out of the room.
And then you reward yourself later with a tiny planned snack.
Exactly. You appear compliant, but you maintain your calorie deficit.
Okay, let's tackle restaurants, starting with Chinese food, which can be so tricky.
It's dangerous because so many dishes rely on cornstarch, sugar, and tons of oil. So the rules are critical. First, always start with a clear soup, like egg drop soup. It's only about 100 calories, and it helps fill you up.
And the sources warn heavily about thick sauces.
They're the biggest trap. Sauces for General Tso's or lo mein are basically just cornstarch, oil, and sugar. The gooey sauce alone can be 200 to 300 calories and up to 20 grams of fat. You have to order it on the side.
And what dishes should you avoid entirely?
Anything breaded or fried. Egg foo young can easily top 1,000 calories. And here's a weird tip. Don't assume all vegetables are safe. They say broccoli is like a sponge for oil and fatty sauces.
But the dessert strategy for Chinese food is actually great.
It's perfect.
Yeah.
You bite the fortune cookie, it's fat-free, only 25 calories, and you eat the complimentary orange slices. Your whole dessert is under 60 calories.
Moving to Italian food, there's a crucial cultural mandate we can use.
Yes. The rule is, eat bread or pasta, but not both. They note that in Italy, it's a cultural no-no to eat them at the same time, which gives you a great excuse to skip the bread basket.
And you have to fight the Alfredo sauce. Why is Alfredo the #1 enemy?
The word Alfredo should be a giant red flag. It's made from heavy cream, butter, and Parmesan cheese, three of the highest fat ingredients possible. A tiny half cup of the sauce has 240 calories and 22 grams of fat.
Which leads to fettuccine Alfredo being, what, over 1,000 calories?
Easily. And you also have to fight the tiramisu, which can also be over 1,000 calories because of the mascarpone cheese and cream.
Okay, finally, Mexican food. The Top 8 Taco-tastic tips.
The main advice is to avoid anything fried and maximize lean volume. So avoid chimichangas, quesadillas, anything like that. Use salsa instead of sour cream. Bulk up your meal with grilled veggies or black beans.
And the specific hack for soft tacos is brilliant.
This is the best hack. You order 2 soft tacos, but you immediately stuff the fillings from the second taco into the first one, and you throw the extra tortilla away.
So you get a super stuffed taco, but you've cut out the calories from a whole tortilla.
Exactly. And you have to be aware of things like the Taco Bell Fiesta Taco Salad, which they say is the worst thing on the menu at 840 calories, all because of that deep-fried shell.
Let's wrap up with a survival guide for travel. Road trips, airplanes, cruises. This is where everything usually falls apart.
The key is preparation. And when you can't prepare, knowing the lowest uricol commercial options. On a road trip, you can have a Slurpee, but only the reduced calorie Crystal Light ones. For coffee, you find a Starbucks and get a Frappuccino Light, which saves you hundreds of calories compared to a regular one.
And the cruise control strategy sounds like a license to graze, as long as you're strategic.
It is. You embrace the buffet, but with rules. You look for the omelet station and ask for egg whites with no oil. You find the shrimp cocktail, the fresh fruit, the salad bar. You can build your own perfect low-cal meal from all the fresh whole ingredients available.
So what we've seen in this deep dive is that guilt-free eating isn't about tiny portions or, deprivation. It's all tactical strategy.
Relentless label reading.
High fiber, strategic ingredient swaps. We've learned how easy it can be to replace a 1,400-calorie burger or a 700-calorie margarita with fun, delicious, engineered meals that are all about volume.
And I think the sheer shock value of the calorie counts in traditional foods is what really drives the philosophy home. When you know that one slice of restaurant tiramisu can be almost 1,000 calories,
Right.
it highlights the fundamental value of finding joy in these controlled, creative substitutions. It's about eating better, feeling more satisfied with more volume, not just eating less. It helps you feel full and happy so you don't feel deprived.
So what does this all mean for you?
Well, the philosophy puts this incredible emphasis on specific strategic substitution. They call butternut squash the most underrated food ever.
Hmm.
It's packed with vitamins and fiber, and it tastes so similar to a sweet potato, but has about half the calories. Gives you a higher volume, lower calorie base. So we leave you with this provocative thought. If butternut squash is a superior, guilt-free swap for sweet potato, where else in your kitchen are you defaulting to a higher calorie version?
Whether it's, Greek yogurt instead of sour cream or cauliflower rice instead of white rice. It's exactly. Where are you defaulting to the old way simply because you haven't researched or tried the strategic volume boosting substitution yet? Go explore and find your next guilt-free engineering marvel.